Okay, Torah Or Page Vayera, page Yudalid. We didn't learn too much. Inside. Okay, middle of the first column of Yudalid, 27. No, we're not. We're not there yet. I know. We just started at the top of Yudalid. Okay. Okay. We're at 8 lines in the top of the page of Yudalid. So the Alter Rebbe is explaining that the spiritual source of everything causes sweetness, let's say, to happen in the apple, but the source of the seed doesn't have sweetness. But it's the source of the sweetness for the apple. Therefore, the seed creates an apple, nothing else. Chochmah, the Spheres and Atzilus, are the source that allows, through his Shtaushulus, the level of Chesed, or right hand, or Mayim, or all those various different things that we say. So he says, the same thing in the level of Chochmah. There's high above high. Even though Chochmah Bria even is a spiritual level of Chochmah, not in a tangible brain. Let's say down here, Chochmah has to be in a brain. The level of Chochmah up there, in Bria even, not even Atzilus. Hagam shechochmah de Bria ein merch lo mohutz Chochmah nirven mikama keimu maka v'sheidish. It's the source, the Yisriman is Savet B'chinas Chochmah Dasiya Niglas. But just like the spiritual worlds are spiritual sources for the physical things. Okay, even Chochmah Bria, which is Yesh Miyayim, but it's still spiritual Yesh Miyayim. The Kachi Chochmah Datzilus is the same thing as the level of Chochmah Vatzilus. Even though it's the level of Chochmah, but not in our known form of Chochmah, meaning it's not on the level, like a tangible level of Chochmah. It's the source of the source. Chochmah Bria is the source of this world, and Chochmah Datzilus is the source of Chochmah Bria.
But in Bria
there's also no tangible Chochmah, but it's a different level of source.
It's lower than the...
Right. Avalias antu chakim. Hainu amshach serin tzab Chochmah. But it's elukus coming in to the level of Chochmah. Hainei Chochmah mamish ma'antimot l'chein hi b'chinas amvasanusei. Therefore, you see, the Gemara says the expression, in the place where you see Hashem's greatness, there you see his humility, which is spoken about Torah and about world. Torah, you see God's great humility, that he took infinite Torah wisdom, which is his wisdom infinite, and he lowers it into a physical book of understanding. Or Hashem took his infinite power and created a finite world. That's what the word Atzilus is in Hebrew. Atzilus, the word Atzilus has 2 meanings. One is Eitzel, it's close, and another one is Hatzalah v'Hafrasha, meaning a separation, meaning a lowering.
How about nobility?
No, that's not Atzilus.
It's a different
spelling? Yeah. So Atzilus means it's still close to Hashem, meaning it's Elokus, it's not Bria Yesh Mi'ayin yet, it's all Kedusha, but it's still a separate, so to speak, a separation from Hashem, that it comes down now into 10 levels. That Hashem should lower himself, ki'ilu hu b'madrega pchusa, as if it's in a lower level. Like it says in the Pasuk, this is what the source of Atzilus is. By the 70 Yalti, when Moshe Rabbeinu says, where's the beef? and I mean, Liadi said, "Where's the beef?" And Moshe Rabbeinu says to Hashem, "Miyayin li basar," right? So Hashem said, "Gather the 70 elders." Right, but Salti min Aruach, Hashem says, I will, go to speak, share with them, I will lower to them from your level, they're at a lower level than you, and they'll be able to give meat. The Fisha'am and Moshe Rabbeinu said, May I and li basar. So not, as Chassidus explained, it's not the simple meaning of what the Pasuk said. Moshe Rabbeinu is complaining to Hashem, where am I supposed to get meat from? And Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, Hayad Hashem tiktzad. Are you like shortening the hand of Hashem when you think Hashem can't do it? How is it possible Moshe Rabbeinu said, Mi'ayin li basar? Doesn't he know Hashem can do whatever he wants? So Chassidus explains, Moshe Rabbeinu didn't doubt Hashem. He said, Mi'ayin li basar. I am a level of Atzilus. The Jews are asking for physical stuff. All the hashpos of the Jews have to go through Moshe Rabbeinu. Therefore, the Rebbe explains, the man was in the merit of Moshe, the well was in the merit of Miriam, and the clouds were in the merit of Aaron and Akayin. What happens when Miriam died? The well stopped. What did Moshe Rabbeinu do? The well came back in the merit of Moshe Rabbeinu. Aaron died, the cloud stopped. That's why the Kanani came to fight. What happened? It came back in the schus of Moshe Rabbeinu. So the Rebbe explained, because the Moshe Rabbeinu, all the sustenance of the generation goes through Moshe Rabbeinu. So Moshe Rabbeinu comes along and says like this, Ma'ayin li basar. Hashem, I can't I know you can do whatever you want, but coming from me, that's not my level. My level is Atzilus. Ma'ayin li basar. How in the world can I sustain this, like it says, they had meat. The Jews just, the Jews had a ton of cattle. Right, the Pasuk said, Miknerav, they had an abundance of cattle. They ain't seen what? They stop complaining. Like some people leave it at that. Yeah, whatever. The Jews like to complain, no matter what. Too fast, too slow, too hot, too cold. So what's the pshat? So Hashem says, and this is what that's the definition of the word Atzilus. V'atzalti min haruach asher alecha. I will separate from your spirit. I'll give it to the 70 elders that are lower than you, and it will go through them. Yeah, it comes through you, but not directly from you. It comes through you, to them, through them. Therefore, Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, they're on a much lower level than you. It's not going to come gashmis from you. I'll give them from your spirit, meaning that they'll be able to, the 70 elders will sustain themselves from Moshe Rabbeinu, but they're not going to, the 70 elders did not become Moshe Rabbeinu. Even when they were saying Nevuah, Elder, they made that whole thing over there. They didn't become Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu's hashpah, his sustenance, was lowered to come through them. The same thing. Chacham of Atzilus is the source of Chacham of Bria, which is eventually the source of Chacham of Asiyah.
Would that happen if there were no Moshe?
You can't have a nation without Moshe Rabbeinu.
Why is there bringing Patach Eliyahu in the middle of in Bayera? Because of the pasuk that
it says Erdo Nova Erda. Yeah, that's what it says. It's connected to Zayan, that part, whatever. What's the level of Atzilus? It's a descent for our godliness to come into Chochmah and so on. Therefore, the 10 spheres of Atzilus and Pasach are called Eset Tikunin. Again, ornaments, not garments that conceal, but rather ornaments that enhance. Levush himself, but it's not the essence. Nevertheless, ein and levush mamish. It's not actually garments like it is in Bria, Tikunin, but ornaments, Mishum Lieva Gamercha, Mashenkin Bria Nasi. Okay. So the Alter Rebbe is explaining until now, this fundamental, basic Chassidic Maimer. The Alter Rebbe is explaining the way Elokus comes into the world through the four worlds. It's in the level of Atzilus. That world is not a world of concealing God. It's a world that enhances Hashem, so to speak, to allow Hashem, well, Hashem can do whatever he wants, but that's where Hashem set it up, which allows him to come into this physical world, but it's a spiritual source that when that spiritual source comes down, like we said, chesed of Atzilus, when it comes down, becomes a physical hand, becomes water, becomes sweetness, becomes whatever it is. It's like the seed in the ground that germinates, and then out comes an apple tree. That doesn't mean the seed has the taste of the apple. It doesn't. It has the potential of creating an apple via the apple tree. So he says now, that's what it says. You are one, but not in the cheshbon, not in the reckoning. Meaning, sheina nimna b'chlala yutzviris. Hashem himself is not counted as one of the 10 spheres. In other words, Hashem, like you said before, at the beginning of the Maamarim, the nefesh is not seichel amides. The nefesh functions through seichel amides, but the nefesh is infinitely greater than seichel amides. If anything, seichel amides lower than the neshama, limit and restrict the neshama to come down into a particular thing. But the neshama itself, and the same thing he says, is in Elokus, in the Eberштadten worlds. Hashem himself is not composed of 10 spheres. He doesn't have seichel amides. Hashem v'lei b'chushban, he's not at all on that level. Shein arech el of cloud. He says because even the savas of Chochmah from Kesed, okay, Kesed is the crown on the head, that's also Yesh Mi'ayin, like the Pasuk says, a Chochmah Ma'ayin Timotzei. V'lei Kesed and Ishtaushus. She B'chinas is savas Yesh Mi'yesh. It's not like the chain of the world, cause and effect, which the effect comes from the cause, but the cause is something which causes the effect. Based on the cause, that's what type of effect you have. Greater maturity, your midas are more mature. Less maturity, your midas are less mature. It's cause and effect. Over there, it's not yesh miyayin, it's yesh miyesh. And he says, "V'hinei b'chol le'lemes atzilas b'riyatzir asiya yesh b'chinas kesed hamamutza." Okay. Okay, Malchus d'Atzilus, it's an Malchus of Atzilus becomes the crown of Bria. Malchus of Bria becomes the crown of Yetzirah. Meaning like this. Just like Atzilus, so to speak, is the intermediary between Hashem and worlds, because Hashem really is above any level of 10 or any level of world or any limitation whatsoever. So by Hashem coming down, when you sign the Yerida of Hashem coming into Atzilus, it's Hashem connecting himself to become a source. Now, even that level of God, which is only a source of creation, is also a limitation. Because if you're a source for something, even though that thing is yesh mi'ayin, but the fact that you are the source of it automatically connects you to it. Indirect, in other words, the fact that the apple seed, which is tasteless or whatever, is the source of an apple, that means it's so connected to an apple.
The connection makes it limited?
Huh?
The connection makes it limited?
It's an apple seed, not a pear seed, not a peach seed. Not a whatever.
An apple seed becomes an apple without a soil?
No.
So what is the soil? What is the apple seed?
It's when the apple seed becomes united with the earth and the power of vegetation that the earth has, both things together create.
What is in spiritual level? We said the apple seed.
When Hashem comes, when Hashem comes into Chokhmah, okay, together with the other spheres, then you create the tangible level of Chesed, Word, Chokhmah, Bin, and Dat. So the Alter Rebbe is saying, one second, the Alter Rebbe is saying, just like there's a level of Kesed between Atzilus and higher than Atzilus, between each world, there is a Kesed. Because even though, generally speaking, it's a Shtalshalis, the worlds are right, the four worlds are a chain, right? A link, chain link, a link chain, whatever. Yeah? Now when you have a link chain, so let's say you have 40 links in the chain. Now they're all interconnected, which means the bottom link, it's still connected to the top link, because they're all interconnected. Nevertheless, so the Ishtalshus of the worlds means that Chokhmah Malchus into Chokhmah. 10 levels into Chokhmah. So the Ishtalshus. But every world has a Chokhmah. And every level of Chokhmah is Ma'ayin Timatzeh. So even though really it's not like Chokhmah Vatsilis, which is Taka Yesh Mi'ayin. Because there's no Chokhmah higher than that. But between the worlds, even the level of Chokhmah Bria, it's still in a certain respect Yesh Mi'ayin of Atzilus, even though it's the chain link, straight into it. From Malchus of Bria, to get the Chokhmah Yetzirah, Chokhmah again is Ma'ayin Timatzeh. Every level of Chokhmah, relatively speaking, is Ma'ayin Timatzeh.
So what's the difference between Chokhmah of Asiya and Chokhmah of Bria?
The Kesser is different. It's a much lower Kesser.
It's a less revelation.
Correct. Less revelation.
Less revelation.
Correct. The difference between Atzilus and Asiya is not in God. The essence of Hashem is in this world. The essence is the essence. It's just in revelation. Atzilus is more, but he is,
Rabbi, isn't it true you have a part of the essence, you have the essence?
Correct.
So you
Now how do you have the essence? Down here? To have it, not that it exists.
You have a part of it, you have it.
Yeah, so how do you reveal that?
You do your Torah Mitzvot.
Torah mitzvahs. Kol ha-mitzvahs misyachsim elo atzmos. The expression is in the Rabbi Shabbat. That all mitzvahs, tzafsa v'chibur, binding, connection. So in other words, like this. Yeah, a Jew has a neshama. The yechida shebenefesh is chelek olakam mimal mamish, God. It's an extension of God, the essence of God. Correct? But nevertheless, that yechida is buried. So, in order to connect our yechida to the essence of Hashem, we need to reveal. Was it a Remel Fried song? You just need to reveal it. It's there. You just need to reveal it. Okay. Now, how do you reveal that essence?
Just do it.
Just do it. But just do what? Eating pizza is not going to do it.
Yeah, if you say the bracha, it will do it.
Then it's the bracha. It's not the pizza.
So then you trust in eating this pizza will do it. If you say the zimun.
Okay. No, enochanami. So then the eating becomes old. What happens if you press it like a chazer? So then you're lowering into klipa, the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya. Okay, so it's just a level of revealing it. Now, down here, the neshama, in order to reveal its essence, is only by doing Torah mitzvahs. Neshama in Gan Eden cannot reveal essence because it doesn't have Torah mitzvahs. Therefore, what do the neshamas have in Gan Eden? Nanim miziv hashchina. They have enjoyment from the ray of the Shechina, a revelation of the Shechina. They don't have the essence of the Shechina.
They study Torah.
You study Torah, you do mitzvahs. Then, yeah, but they don't do any. They learn Torah. What else they do a whole day?
But there is there a Torah?
They learn Torah, and the neshamas learn Torah in Gan Eden.
So if they can't do it, so why do they?
But they don't learn Torah like we learn it.
Yeah.
Chassidus gives two examples of how they learn Torah in Gan Eden. One is, it's the Mishnah, the beginning above Mitzvah, that all the kids learn. Shnayim Echsim Betalis. Two people come to Bezdin, both of them are holding the corners of a garment, and they come to Bezdin, this guy says, I found it, this guy says, no, I found it, the thing. That's one Mishnah. So how do they learn that in Gan Eden? There's no talis here, there's no... So Chassidus explains, talis, garments, are mitzvahs. Torah is food, remember garments surround you. Shnayim Echsim Betalis, the way they learn the Mishnah in Gan Eden is, two neshamas are fighting over a mitzvah. This one said, I did the mitzvah. This guy said, no, I did the mitzvah. In other words, who's taking credit for the mitzvah? Okay? So over there in Gan Eden, they're not learning two people come to Bezin fighting over a house. There's no talis there.
You just said there's no mitzvah either.
Right, but they're learning Torah, but they're not doing it in a way that it's a mitzvah, that they become connected to the essence of Hashem through that. They don't. No. That's why you're not allowed to wear your tzitzis out in a cemetery. You're not allowed to make a minyan next to a grave. Why? So there's a pasuk, the Gemara, there's a pasuk called Lo Yigla Rosh. You're laughing at the poor person because b'meisim chavshi, dead people don't have mitzvahs. 1 second, dead people don't have mitzvahs. I'm going to daven or wear my tzitzis out by a grave. Basically, I'm teasing them. You don't have mitzvahs and I have mitzvahs. Either in Gan Eden, but they don't have mitzvahs there. Yes, they learn Torah. And another mitzvah, a Mishnah is Hamachlet Par Chamor. In Bava Kama, there's a Mishnah. A guy exchanges a cow for a donkey, okay, and then the cow gave birth, and you didn't know if it was before the exchange or after the exchange. So now the question, who owns the calf? If it was before the exchange, then the original owner owns it. If it's after the exchange, the second. And there are no witnesses. So they're home, right, the Mishnah, Sumchas, Chacham. But how do they learn this Mishnah? There's a Nefesh Habahamis, Behema. There's a Nefesh Habahamis of a Chamor. There's a Nefesh Habahamis of a Shor. There are different types of... So in Gan Eden, they learn it in a spiritual way. A spiritual Nefesh Habahamis, not the physical cow and the... So, okay, anyway. See, the Alter Rebbe is saying now that between every world, there's still a level of Kesed. Even though it's all Ishtalshus. So now, okay, he says like this. The so what's the difference now between the Keser of Atzilus that creates Chochmah of Atzilus and the Keser of Bria that creates Chochmah Bria and Yitzira? To be mamish as Tzimtzum Arishin is, I'll explain something more component. V'sav is biyah, and the creation of Bria Yitzira Siya, or they mafsik ben Atzil Sabria ben Yitzir Bria Yitzira, v'loy more component. Okay, and now the Alter Rebbe says I'll explain what's the difference. But let me just explain what it is before we see what it is. When a teacher is very smart and he wants to teach little children, he cannot teach the children on his level. If he teaches them on his level, it's way over their head. So what does he need to do? He needs to give a mashal. A mashal, a parable, an example, an analogy. Right? Like Shlomo HaMelech, for every Dvar Chochmah said 3,000 mishalim. The Pasuk said. Shloishes Alfei mashal. Shlomo HaMelech gave a mashal, it was so brilliant. For everything he gave 3,000 mishalim. Parables, analogy, whatever you want to call it. So basically, I'll give you an example. You want to talk about Or Ein Sof, revelation of godliness. Okay? So what do you use as a mashal? Sunlight. Sunlight. Yeah? Sunlight, the windows are open, it comes in, you close the windows, it doesn't come in. So that we understand, you let God in, He shines, you know? Yeah? Now, godliness has nothing to do with the sun. The ray of the revelation of godliness has nothing to do with the light of the sun. The light of the sun is physical, tangible, measurable. The revelation of, but we can't understand that. So in order for us to have a little bit of understanding, we give an analogy that we can understand it. Right? So there's one type of tzimtzum that the teacher needs to do. He can't explain it on his level because it's above the level of the kids. So he has to give a mashal. Then there's another level. The teacher is so brilliant and so smart, even to, so to speak, it's not exactly true, but compared to the student, he's infinite. So he can't cut his wisdom in half, it's still going to be infinite. So what does the teacher need to do? He needs, so to speak, to remove everything he knows. Remove it. Not forget it, just like
Contain.
put it off to the side and reveal a level connected to the kids. So there's two levels of symptom of a teacher to a student. One is he just lowers it with a curtain. The mashal is the curtain because the mashal has nothing to do with the light what we're talking about. But then there's a higher level of tzimtzum, what's called tzimtzum arishain. And here the Alter Rebbe said that's really between Atzilus and higher than Atzilus. Relatively speaking, is also tzimtzum of makom panui. Because above Atzilus is infinite. If you limit infinite, it's still infinite. Because you can't limit infinite. Okay? So, we have 3 minutes. Let me just explain what the Alter Rebbe is going to explain here. It says at the beginning of Eitz Chaim from the Arizal. Okay, but Chilak Shalom Machshav, this is an expression brought down all over Chassidus. It's not today, I never learned Eitz Chaim. I definitely don't know Eitz Chaim by heart, but this is what it says at the beginning of Eitz Chaim. But Chilak Shalom Machshav Yisbarach Livrei Yisraelim. At the beginning, when Hashem wanted to create the world, there's infinite level of godliness all over the place. There was no ability to create the world because it's all a revelation of infinite. If infinite is all over the place, you can't make finite. Okay? So what did Hashem do? Hashem removed his infinite wisdom off at the side, and he revealed a level of limited, relatively limited level of Elokus, which is called the Kav. Okay? The Kav, a line. You mean Hashem revealed the line of, and that level is still infinite, but relative to the before Tzimtzum, it's an infinite level of Elokus, and therefore a world were able to exist. Okay? Now what does it mean? It means very simply like this. Hashem, because he's God, he has an infinite power and he has a finite power. You can't say, if somebody asks you, is God infinite or finite? And they tell you God is infinite, it's an apikoides. Why? Because number one, then you're limiting him that he's only infinite and not finite. That's also a limitation. If something is infinite and not finite, that itself is a limitation. And secondly, if Hashem is taka infinite only, how can infinite create a finite world? You can't create what you're not. So therefore, whether we understand it or not, it's totally irrelevant. But the fact is, Hashem is above infinite, above finite, and therefore Hashem could make infinite, he can make finite, and he even could put them both together, because he's above both of them. From his place, they're the same. Okay, now, when Hashem reveals his infinite power, then Hashem's finite power is not revealed, because what's revealed is infinite. So how do you get finite power to be revealed? You can't make it less with a curtain, because cut it in half, it's still infinite. So Hashem has to, so to speak, forget everything he knows, which is not true. The teacher just forgets it for the moment. Not that he doesn't have it, he has it. But it's not revealed. Hashem, at that moment, unrevealed His infinite power, put it back into potential state, therefore revealed the finite, created the world. And to be continued.